What is Parkaya Pravesh? Parkaya Pravesh means par is others, kaya is body, and pravesh means entry. The soul of one person entering another person's body. Till the first body is not yet free of the soul, the other one cannot enter. So the individual soul which is there in the body has to leave, has to die. Then this other person can enter. So this is the entry of the soul in another body. Now when Parkaya Pravesh happens, the characteristics of the first occupant is always very predominant, which means whatever is the data remaining behind in the body, that data is useful. Even in the case of Shankaracharya. Now when Adi Shankaracharya was challenged by Swadharma to find out about the relationship between a man and a woman, Shankaracharya, who was a sannyasi, was not able to give an answer immediately. So he requested for a time. So what he did was, he went to a place in Kashmir. He knew that that particular king was about to die. After the death of that king, he entered the body of that king and learned the relationships between a man and a woman by being in that body for nearly a month or so. After that, he left the body behind and came back to give the answer. When a person does this kind of a thing, he has to leave his first body somewhere so that he can make an entry into another body. Let us come back to our story. Now, when I gave you the explanation of Parkaya Pravesh, I was telling you what happened with me. In the year 2001, the night of 4th March, I was lying in the bed. Somewhere at 3:30 in the morning, a person comes to the door. I saw this person and I woke up and I did a namaskar to him. He was the Yamaduta. I have to tell you that that particular floor was barred for entry for literally everyone. It was having a Z security since the ex-Prime Minister Devegowda's wife was lying in one of the wards, one of the rooms over there. And naturally nobody from outside could come. So when this Duta came over there, I wished him. He gave me his Ashirwad. After that I got up from the bed. Then I went near the window. Now you can imagine 3:34 in the morning when you are watching outside the window. The whole scenery was so beautiful out there. Now the scenery was a unique one. It was showing me all the answers of this universe were literally piling up down from the top. A scene just like Matrix. You can say in Matrix you saw all those figures were falling down. Exactly like that. Something like that you can say. I found most of the answers of this universe were literally out there. That happened and I was feeling very, very happy. There was a blissfulness on my body. I saw that and then I came back to the bed. I saw this gentleman was sleeping already over there. And in the neighboring cot was the wife. After that, I really don't know what happened because I woke up at around 11 o'clock in the morning. The doctors and the nurses were running around and there was a general chaos over there. Now this story I had not told anybody for quite some time because it was very difficult to grasp. When I told this story to the wife, she said that it is not possible because There were lots of needles stuck in my body, and my body was literally pinned to the bed. So I couldn't have got up. So naturally, the person who got up is not the same as that. I had to find the answers. Now, these answers were not easy to get. Now, let us come to the story back again where I got up, and after a few days, I was let go. I went back home, but I was not the same person. The person who was admitted to the hospital was different than the person who had gone home. The reason being, this individual had so much of knowledge and understanding but was not able to cope up with the life. There was a constant anger, there was a constant suppressed emotions going on. There was no way in which I could react without getting into some kind of a mess up. And this was noticed literally by everybody because I was getting angry for no rhyme or reason. The problem was I was not able to correlate to anything. Though I was behaving like that individual, I knew his entire story, I knew everything that was going on, but there were no answers which I was getting. That was, who am I? What am I doing over here? What is the reason for me being over here? I continued to be in bed, and after a few days I got well, I got up, I went back to work. Now, one day when I was sitting in my shop, I visited the neighbor's shop, and there I found a few books and I brought it with me. I opened the first book. It was called the Bhagavad Gita. The moment I opened the pages, I said, I seem to know everything that is written over here. How is that possible? Because, as I have to tell you, the person whom we are talking about is not the same, because this particular gentleman had all the knowledge. That means he knew the scriptures very well. The earlier person had absolutely no knowledge about the scriptures. He was not a spiritual or a religious person. He had never heard of the scriptures. The only thing that he had heard about was the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which he saw in the television sometimes. And the only association for any godly person was his family guru, that is Sai Baba of Shirdi. And there were only two pictures in his grandmother's house. That was, one was of Dattatreya and the second one was Sai Baba. And they were Guru Bhakts. So there was no way of knowing the entire story anywhere. So when these books opened in front of me, I was able to understand everything. That means I could expound on all these scriptures as if I knew them. I had never read these books in my life, see. So the next job was to find more tougher books. So I started doing the rounds of the different shops, and the only language that I knew was English. So I tried to find out as many English books as I can. And as many as I found that whatever was written in that book was so easy for me to understand. And I could expound on those philosophies so easily. Remember, it is not easy to expound on any of the scriptures. So how was this possible? A few years went by. That is 2004. I was looking out for somebody who can answer these questions for me. I started doing the rounds of all the different gurus in this world. The gurus, the sadhus, you name it, spiritual teachers. I wrote to a few of them, I went and met them, but nobody could answer me. Then one fine day I met this lady, or rather I was accidentally introduced to her, and when I was introduced to her, she told me that she knew me very well. I had never met her in my life. After that I started visiting her. She was like a Guru Bandhu, a person who had all the knowledge in the world. So I was telling her that I will sit at her feet and I'll learn. But she said, no, that is not correct. You should not be sitting at my feet. On the contrary, I should be sitting at your feet. So this was a very surprising thing for me to listen. After that, my inquiry started voraciously. In the sense, I started wanting to know all these things. And one day, I was so fed up with myself that I decided that this is it. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do if I don't get these answers. Who is teaching me and who am I? If I don't get these answers, there is no point in living. And one fine day I decided that this is it. I will give up my life. But that evening, somebody came down to my shop and he took me with himself to a place. And that is the time I met my Gurudev. This particular person was Dattatreya himself. After that, I knew who was teaching me. Then my next question was, who am I? That was answered about a year later, that is in 2005. And that answer also shocked me. It was a very strange answer. He told me that I have been teaching you this scripture and I have taught you before also. And that set me off on a journey because I had to do my self-inquiry. I had to go and find out who am I. As you know, that is a very important question in spiritual. Who am I? So I set off on my journey and I found the answers. Later on, I decided that I cannot live in this world for long because I was totally feeling dispassionate with the whole thing. I was detached. I couldn't have any relations with anybody. And this difficulty created a problem for those who were with me. Imagine me telling the wife, I am not the person that you were married to. This person changed places with another person. Can you imagine the trauma they must have gone through? The whole family went through a terrible scene, a terrible trauma. And it was not easy to cope up for them. So I decided that this is it. I have to leave and go. So I left for the Himalayas. This was in 2007. And when I left for the Himalayas, the place which I took a halt was Haridwar. And in Haridwar, I had a number of experiences. One of the experiences was very unique. I went to the Ganga river and I was sitting on the banks of the river. At that particular moment in time, my Gurudev comes and sits next to me. He knew what was going on in my mind. I was thinking either I will jump in this river or I will go away somewhere far. I just want to run away. My Gurudev gave me a very big lecture on this. I am a very argumentative person, so I argued with him and I said I don't want this kind of a living. Then he told me that, see, this knowledge has been given to you so that you can impart it to the people. So please go back and impart this knowledge. I was reluctant because I was wondering, whom can I give this knowledge to? It's very tough. But at the insistence of my Gurudev, 4 days later, I left again for Bangalore. I came back and I started teaching. But I had told my Gurudev that I don't want to teach many people. If I can teach just a few of them, I would be happy. And he agreed to it. I also didn't want to be known in this world. Because the more amount of people knowing you, as you know very well, then everybody starts gathering. I was not interested in all that because I just wanted to stay incognito. Now, this is exactly what I did. After coming back in 2007, I started teaching. But then that urge was still there that I want to run away. So one day I packed my bags and I again left. I went to Pandharpur. But before going to Pandharpur, I said, since my Gurudev is Dattatreya, I will go to two different places. One was Akkalkot and the second one was Gangapur. Now, Gangapur is for Narasimha Saraswati's place. Akkalkot is Akkalkot Swami, that is Swami Samarth. And the third one, which I told you, was Pandharpur. Even when I touched Akkalkot, you can imagine the person over there gives me the coconut and says, take this coconut and go back home. It was very surprising. When I went to Gangapur, a similar incident happened. I performed a small puja over there. I hardly had any money with me. Then I went to Pandharpur. Now in Pandharpur, there was a very great miracle that happened to me. Now when I was looking at the queue was massive because it must have been a very important day. I didn't want to stand in queue, so I was just hanging around over there. Suddenly one person comes to me and says, please come with me. And he took me straight inside the sanctum sanctorum. And I was given the darshan. And when my darshan was happening, literally the whole place was deserted. There was nobody there. The Panditji was there and I was the only one over there. And I got the darshan for quite some time. After that, the person handed me 2 malas. And then I was told very clearly by this person, go, she's calling you. I was not aware who is this person who is calling me. So finally, when I came out, I asked one Panditji over there, who is this person he is talking about? She is calling me. Oh, this person said, oh, that is something which you have to do. I think the value was 261 or 251. I don't recollect the exact value. But that's the amount of money that you need to give to Rukmini over there. Her statue is there just behind. So again, it was a very surprising thing. I gave that. I took the darshan and I came out and I sat in that main hall. Now remember, I was already having this idea that I have to leave this place and go away. Suddenly a person comes over there. He's carrying a very big packet with him. And he comes and plonks next to me and says that these packets are for you. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know you from Adam. Who are you? So he says, are you someone who is having these shops in this particular place? I said, yes, of course. Then he says, this packet is for you because it contains a prasad, it contains a lot of things. There are 2 flowers which you have to put in your 2 shops and you have been advised to go back. Can you imagine the surprise that I had? And after that I couldn't resist and I had to come back. When I came back, with gusto I again started teaching people. Now I was not so keen after some time because I had trained a few students. I said, this is it, I don't want to train more. Somewhere in 2011, again I got one Sakshatkar. My Gurudev came and told me that no, you have to continue with this. Then again in 2014, similar thing happened. When in 2014, I realized that this is my Swadharma. This is the reason for me being alive in this body. I have to give these lessons, these teachings to the world. And I should be the best version of myself. From that day onwards, from 2014 onwards, I started doing satsangs literally every single day. You will find that I have done satsangs literally in most of the scriptures. I have done in Bhagavad Gita, I have done in Uddhav Gita, I have done in Das Bodh. Then for full 5 years and more, I have done the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. This is there online in YouTube. Then I did various other scriptures as well. And now let us come back to 2018, when I was told that I have to make this public. So I started putting up all the content publicly for people to watch. And then again in 2022, I was given instruction that I have to train people in a particular method, which is called the way in which training happens in the Gurukul. And from that day onwards, I have taken it that I have to train a few people in the way of life. I hope you get this story clear. Now, somebody asked me the question, why this body? I cannot answer the question, why this body today, but in retrospect, tomorrow when things happen, definitely the answer will be ready, that there has to be a reason why this body was chosen. Those people who are associated with this body are very important. Those who are going to be associated in the future, they are important. This whole thing is laid out so beautifully that I have to even do this particular topic right now. Though I was reluctant to do it, but somehow I think it's important to express oneself. That is the reason why I'm just doing this. And I guess this body has its values, but it has an expiry date also. Naturally, the expiry date is around the corner. So I just have to wait it out till that day. But till that last day, I have to keep on doing what I'm supposed to do. I cannot stop. And that is the reason why I do this satsangs day and night. I talk to people. I run this program. It's called the Way of Life program. And it is going on for it's going on quite well. So now, I think I have come to the end of this particular episode. I will stop over here. My story has been dragging on for some time now. So I hope you liked what you heard. So kindly like this video if you liked it. And subscribe to this channel. And share it if you can. Thank you very much for watching.